don't think I've seen the full set. You know, the paper trail of this parts of this university is not always complete. I've noticed.
Sure, I think that's true everywhere.
Yeah, well, you can't
really
say everything.
You gotta be sticking everything in a special drawer in order to keep everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm blocking on somebody's name, but well, maybe later I'll show you the program from the Minority Health Conference, and you can see the list of speakers, and we can see if any of those people were on this committee.
Well, I was on it.
Yeah, you were on the committee.
One time or not? Yeah. Yeah.
What did it do? What did it? Can you tell me anything more about what it did?
Well, it was to try to get communication at a higher level for all ethnic groups. And at that time it focused on African American more than anything. But now it's broader, and it was meant to be broader early, but it was more focused on African Americans.
Do you remember when it was created?
I think it was in the early 70s.
The early 70s?
That's what I'm thinking.
So, because I remember back even as late as early as 1972, there was quite a bit of discontent among the black students about the epidemiology introductory course and the biostatistics introductory course.
Sure.
Was that related to it?
I don't know. I don't recall that it was, but I mean, I can understand that because typically students at that time weren't as well prepared as they are today for the academic program and the rigor of those mathematical sciences. So that's fun. A lot of students in nutrition weren't happy with, especially with biostatistics either, even though they were okay students, you know. So a big change has occurred in the school, probably as a whole, as we're getting stronger and stronger students all the time, awfully capable, and having really good college education before they come. So that's been, I think, a big change. And nutrition has just grown tremendously. Not only in the quality of the students, but also in the quality of the faculty. I mean, they've just become very top-notch.
So, moving on from the 70s, anything in the 1980s come to mind?
Well, they were kind of dark ages, right? No, I'm just kidding. No, well, the 70s and 80s probably weren't terribly different in a way. The school, I think, was sort of slumbering along, and in terms of the 80s, I don't think the school had reached strength. I think the strength came in the 90s, really. Didn't mean we didn't have good faculty then, but I think it's our student body really increased and made our school so much stronger. I believe that environmental sciences and biostatistics and epi have always been fairly strong, but I think some of the other departments have really risen significantly more. And so the production, grant money, publications, all these things have really increased quite a bit.
And do you have any students whom you remember that stand out in your mind?
Well, yes, I do. We had a number of doctoral students, especially, who have done well in their careers in different places, mostly at universities, but some at NIH and other federal agencies, CDC. So we've had a lot of students who've done very well. Students have gone on to be professors in other places, and a few have come back to our department, but not many. We don't have a lot of our own graduates on board. We have a few, but not very many. Alice Ammerman is one who's done extremely well in the more behavioral public health side of our nutrition department, and we've had Marcy Campbell, who was an absolutely wonderful person, died too early. But she was so successful in getting grants, writing, and making very good contributions to the field of nutrition. So we've had a lot of really good students and faculty, and extremely productive, especially in the last couple of decades. I think public health is recognized more now by the federal agencies, especially NIH, for support than it used to be. Nutrition doesn't get as much support from the USDA because it just doesn't have a lot of money, relatively speaking. And most of USDA monies are earmarked for the land-grant universities, so they're not as good at supporting nutrition across the board. But in terms of NIH, we've done extremely well.
So what are some of the major things that you've worked on over the course of your career here?
Well, most of my work is revolved around bone, calcium, phosphorus, vitamin D, and how they affect bone health. Also hormones like estrogen, androgens, parathyroid hormone, calcitonin. Did a lot of work with that early on. It's now really considered a vestigial kind of molecule that's made that isn't really so important in anything. I spent a lot of time.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time working on calcitonin. And then I've also worked on some of the components of soy and other molecules made by plants that are modified by bacteria in the gut and contribute to bone health. And I've written a number of books, including textbooks. I've written, I think, 3 textbooks.
3?
On nutrition, I think so. And some special books on bone health, a couple of them. I've written a book on the Mediterranean diet, which you've seen. And I'm in the process of working on another bone book right now. Working on that, hopefully get that out next month or 2.
Wow. So what is, you told people before, I mean, you told the recording before, that people needed to eat more plants and fruits and vegetables.
Yes.
What would you tell them for bone health?
For bone health, it's no different than for others. You don't need super amounts of calcium or super amounts of vitamin D. You just need to have good amounts of all the nutrients in reasonable amounts. It's just that you need to get the plant molecules that aren't present in animal foods, which are also have an impact on bone health and on other organs. So that's a thing that's coming now because of much more research on the biome of the gut biome.
The microbiome.
Microbiome of the gut. There's mostly bacteria, of course. And what it means is that these bacteria are able to modify a number of molecules that are present in the plant foods, such as in berries. There are a lot of polyphenols. A lot of foods have polyphenols, but these phenols are broken down, and benzoic acid, which is a derivative of the phenol group, then comes in the body and is modified by the liver. And it then makes other products which have effects on bone and on fat tissue and other things. So these are products that you only get from plants, and we need to have enough of them. It's not that you need to take them as supplements, but you need to get them mixed in with foods. So foods really is the way to go. Forget supplements. Let's go with foods. Get the good foods, and that's the best way to good health from a nutritional perspective. Of course, to have good health, you also don't want to have smoking, and you want to be active. Not too much alcohol. Small amounts are okay. Not a lot. And so all these factors.
So you're still recommending eating a variety of foods.
A variety of foods and a lot
of
less of the animal foods because you want to get the fatty acids that are mostly present in plant foods, mono and polyunsaturated fatty acids, as opposed to the saturated fatty acids. And so you don't get those from dairy or meat so easily. So it's okay to have some, but you really want to have a good balanced diet. So diet quality becomes an extremely important part, and is being shot down all over the world. All the poor countries, relatively poor, economically less developed in the world, Asia, Africa, Latin America, they are getting all these processed foods that are loaded with sugar, fat, salt, all these components that really don't help our health.
Hmm.
And it's true throughout the world because these food companies are marketing this stuff everywhere now. And the more economically developed countries are getting, the more problems they're having with obesity, diabetes, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular diseases.
Yeah, it's really extraordinary what's going on. The more we've learned about nutrition, and yet we've got more obesity than at any time in history. And
we used to have severe deficiency diseases. Some of them still exist. They're still around. So it's like the dual burden of nutrition in terms of health outcomes. But we have a lot of problems in the world now. And the food industry doesn't seem to be helpful. No.
well, you know, they say God helps those who help themselves, and I guess the food industry lives by that motto.
Well, they have to survive, you know, so they're doing everything they can do. The problem is, what we need are basically fresh foods, fruits and vegetables, especially.
Now, in the developed world, they have fresh fruits and vegetables, don't they?
They do sometimes. I mean, places do. They should have it in the developed world, but people don't eat them.
And why is that?
I don't know, but if you get 3 fruits and vegetables a day in the diet, you're doing very well in this country. Whereas you're supposed to have maybe 5 to 9 or more servings of them a day. That's probably optimal.
So
The higher the better.
Why do you think it is that happens?
People want comfort foods, and they want
Is it
tasty
the
foods,
work-
like meats and so on, and plastic-wrapped foods with chemical preservatives are so popular, and they're popular all over the world, and they have longer shelf life, so they're being sold everywhere.
Is it because of the work involved in preparing the food, the fresh fruits and vegetables, or the...
I think that could be part of it, but I think it's
the shipping and storage? And...
well, everything's part of the superstructure of getting foods to countries, but to places. But the fruits and vegetables are mostly local foods. It's local or nearby, and not too far. In this country, it's easy to ship things because of refrigeration and so on, and it is in most of the developed countries. But in the developing world, they don't have refrigerated trucks very much. So those parts of distribution are different. That's true. But fruits and vegetables should be available because they're healthy.
So when I was in England many years ago, especially during the winter, there really weren't a whole lot of variety of vegetables. I mean, you could eat cabbage. I think they had cauliflower. There was maybe one other vegetable, carrots.
Yeah,
but you didn't get much variety. You got very few fruits. But of course, they were imported, what you didn't get because they didn't grow anything like that.
Israel has grown fruits that they ship all over.
Yeah,
all
that's
over
where we
Europe.
got the
wonderful
fruit
fruits
in England.
And that's been just shown that you can do it. Tremendous opportunities for good foods and fruits and vegetables, especially plenty of fruits in Israel. But that isn't true all over. In the U.S., we have it available, but a lot of people don't buy it. And in the schools, they often throw them out. The kids don't eat that food, they throw it out. So food waste is a big issue. Well, it's partly teaching, partly how parents live, and so it passes down through generations. So you can learn these things, but a lot of people don't learn them.
Do you think it's the mass media, television and so on?
Partly it's the advertising, partly that, and the fast food establishments that are so convenient, comfortable for people. Doesn't mean they're all bad foods, I don't mean that, but you can't live that way because it's loaded with stuff.
Makes you wonder about our species, I guess, a little bit, that our species doesn't seem to be doing right by itself. We have these tendencies and dominant tendencies that expose us to unhealthy lifestyles that aren't really good for us, and yet the way we've organized ourselves promotes the wrong behaviors rather than more useful ones.
Well, a lot of them are subliminal, you get these things all the time through media, but people have to take care of their own health. They have to take advantage of what our knowledge base is. So I think part of it's also a negativism against knowledge. I think that's a big issue in our country.
That's an interesting issue now, certainly. I mean, I don't remember.
I think it has been right along. It's even worse now.
Yeah.
With our situation.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept, but makes you wonder what maybe humans weren't really cut out to survive as well as we think.
Well, I think they are if they take advantage of using the information.
But if they're,
it's a matter of the
inclined not to, but if there's a disinclination to.
Well, sloth. We have tremendous obesity in this country, and it's not a sickness that gets it. It's a behavior.
It's the imbalance.
Unhealthy behavior.
You don't.
Too much food, not enough activity. Those things are so common.
Are there things that, every once in a while I think I read something that says that there are early life experiences that predispose the body towards obesity, or epigenetic changes, or environmental exposures?
Any of those are probably okay, but the big problem is not eating enough fruits and vegetables. That is the number one issue. And all the surveys show that Americans just don't do it. Some people don't have any fruits or vegetables. They might have potato.
Mm-hmm.
That's considered a vegetable, but...
And ketchup.
Oh yeah, ketchup. Ketchup is from tomato. In fact, the USDA did approve ketchup as a serving.
I remember under the Bush administration.
Probably.
Bush 1, the first one.
I think it was Bush 1 who didn't like broccoli.
He didn't like broccoli, yeah. So we got ketchup classified.
Yeah. Although I'm sure he ate pretty well because he was,
he was slender.
Well cared for, Mm-hmm.
So, do you have any reflections on your career now? Your career is marching on, even though you retired quite a few years ago.
My research career is pretty much over. I still collaborate a little bit with other people.
But you're not teaching courses either.
I gave a lecture in a course already.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have every year given one or more lectures in courses in that Department of Nutrition.
Do you have any reflections that you wanted to share at the end? I guess we're winding up.
Yeah, I'm so happy I came into public health. It's a wonderful field, and I felt very fortunate to be able to be at this school. It's an outstanding school. The faculty are wonderful, and I've been collegial with a lot of faculty in our school, probably more than most people, because I'm kind of outward going. But people here have been very nice to work with. It's been a very nice school. And people are willing to share here. That's not true everywhere.
Well, I certainly agree with all of that. It's been a wonderful place to be.
Yeah, it has. So I'm very happy with my career here. I hope that one day I can leave something for the school that would be beneficial for the future.
Well, I think this recording will be one of those things that you will leave that will be
Well,
beneficial.
thank you, Vic.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much, yeah, thank you.